Life. So yeah, I wanted to share something today. It's been a pretty interesting couple weeks. I I've discovered a lot about myself in the past couple weeks, and I just want to start with like you guys got to really get like who I've been as a person. So like who I've been is this. I've always got to be the tough guy. I mean, it's like ever since I was a kid, it's like you know, army stuff, toys, guns, paintball guns, real guns, pellet guns. Just like got to be the tough kid. You know, did the army thing, teach jujitsu, CrossFit, tattoo. Like all this is all about like being tough, right? So what I discovered is I was looking with one of my coaches a couple weeks ago, and when I was 4 years old, my dad, so I'm standing there in my front bedroom, and there's like this little the little workbenches that you get kids, and I'm standing there, and all I wanted for my birthday was a Baby Alive doll at 4 years old. The Baby Alives, the little doll that you had to feed and stuff. And being great parents, my parents got me the Baby Alive doll. And so I'm standing there and I'm playing with it, I'm feeding it, mixing all the different powders and water and stuff. And my dad walks in, he's like, "What are you doing? Are you playing with your Baby Alive? You're like a little Baby Alive doll? Like the little doll that's for little girls?" And then he was just, being my dad. And my dad's real funny and he jokes. And but in that moment, I really got like, it's wrong. It can't be taking care of a doll, playing with dolls. You're a boy. You got to be tough. So I took that doll and I put it on the back side of the workbench, and I didn't touch it, didn't play with it ever again. And there was this failure for me. It was like a failure to be strong enough, like I was weak. And then after that, all I ever wanted after that was like I had to be tough in my dad's eyes, for my dad. But it's really for me, right? My dad didn't do anything. He just came in and talked to me, and then I made it mean all this other stuff. And so I started playing with army toys, and I had to have like all the, Batman, the coolest, like you had to be the toughest guy, whatever. And look at what I do now. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a living. I teach people how to fight. I gotta, it's like my whole life has been given by that. And if you look at the toy, and you really look at the toy is the one toy out of all the toys there are that you had to take care of. You had to take care of it. And I could have picked any toy. I could pick Legos, but I picked the one toy. And I realized that when I set that toy on the backside and I threw that toy away, I stopped caring for people. Like I had to be tough. So like really like genuinely caring for people. And another thing I discovered is that when I threw that toy away, I wasn't just throwing away caring for people. That toy was me. I was throwing away the real me, the vulnerable me. So I look at, what's been missing in my life. So this is a huge epiphany. And for like the past 2 weeks, that came up 2 weeks ago. And this whole, like my whole world's been like flipped upside down, emotions, like stuff showing up. And it's just been craziness. And it's like, I got to the root of it. It's like, I don't share what I'm dealing with people in my life because I'm scared that I would be considered weak or I would look bad. So there's this whole, like you got to really get, like my whole life has been given by being strong. All my relationships, I dominate, I don't share. And so now I'm on a sharing rampage. Even putting this video out sucks because she's like I have to admit to being vulnerable and weak, and admit to having a baby alive when I was 4 years old, like the complete gayest toy there is. No offense, right? But like that. And yeah, and so what's been showing up in my life is like I woke up today and I'm like I'm being vulnerable with everybody. And the body sensations are insane. Like I used to get these moments when I was with my ex, like when I was being vulnerable with him, like, and it was like this weird, like trembly, scared, like, holy shit, like, am I being accepted right now? Am I not being accepted right now? And it's like this spatial feeling. It kind of feels like light. So first of all, after discovering all this, like, a weight's been lifted off my chest for sure. And but those sensations have been there all day long, all last night. Like, life is like, how life shows up for me is completely new. Like, I'm enlivened and lit up by the experience of myself. So, yeah, so then I was looking at, like, all the people in my life. I've got some really close people, people I work with, you know, everybody in my life. And it's funny because when I discovered that thing about not being vulnerable with people, I was hearing from all these different arenas, like, you know, like, where's the compassion, Dylan? Where's your compassion for people? You know, and they were all, like, listening to me so I was like, there's something in my environment that's calling for this. And, like, there's something here that is huge that I'm on the cusp of. And, you know, like, for instance, like, my ex, the only one that I was really vulnerable with was with him. And, you know, even after we've broken up, he's still been the stand for me that I live a life I love. And what I used to do is I'd get in a relationship, I'd date them, I'd dominate them, I'd suppress them, but I'd really, like, I'd need them to need me. Because if they needed me, they wouldn't see how, like, pathetic I really thought I was. And, you know, I discovered that a while too, like, that I had this vision that I was pathetic for myself. And so, you know, after we've broken up, he's been this stand for me to just be vulnerable with the world and be vulnerable with everybody in my life. And I was getting coaching around it, and from my buddy, and he was like, yeah, he's like, you don't share, you hold it in, you internalize, you withhold, and it kills off all the possibilities of like growth, love, vitality, you know. And you want access to power. It comes inside of the sharing, the being vulnerable. And I've discovered that, like, really, it is an access to the power of my life. So I've seen all these things that I've been pretending I'm not, pretending I'm tough, you know, and, like, when I really, like, could ask for help. So yeah, so that's really great. And so this is what I discovered with my ex, is like, holy shit, I'm madly in love with this guy. And he accepts me for me, and I accept him for him. And people are like, why Taylor? And it's like, that's what my friend Carla just asked. She goes, well, what is it about Taylor? And it's like, who he is at the root of, like, the people that I know, like, the baseline, like, the person that he is one of the most amazing individuals I've ever met, and has done more for me in my life than, you know, besides my parents have given birth, like, and supporting me, but, like, he's given me access to living a powerful life. And I'm so thankful. So thankful. And I don't know where we are, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. And what's really great is that, like, before I had been deciding on him, and instead of choosing him for who he is and for he's not. So he can do whatever he wants to do, and I'm going to be here just being this guy that loves him and supports him. And I'm going to give it up to trust, which is totally vulnerable with me, that I'm the person for him. And what falls out of that, falls out of that. An unbridled stance, an unbridled stand for love, an unbridled stand for championing. And it's not like I want to be with him so that we need each other, and, like, it's like I want to champion him through his life, like two independent people that are creating a world together that is so powerful and so fulfilling and so unique that it's just, like, overflowing with, like, living a life you love and living it every day. So for the people in my life, and you guys can probably see I wrote on here, like, I don't know if you guys can read that, but I kind of wrote, like, what's there for me. And I go, for people, you know, I'm committed to being loving, compassionate, vulnerable, and a safe space. a safe space for anybody to come to me with whatever they're dealing with. A safe space where there won't be judgment and you can be totally taken care of, you know. And I got some other stuff on there for my community, you know, being an accountable, responsible leader that honors his word and does what he says he's going to do, not as to look good or any of that, just because that's who I am, is my word. Yeah, and I got a bunch of stuff up there. You know, my listening of myself is that I'm a man of my word, full of vulnerability and authenticity, that I'm compassionate, loving, sweet, and tender, and also I'm totally irresistible. So, yeah, I'm sharing this with all of you. You know, it's on the internet, but there's a lot of people I'm going to be sending this to individually that have known that I've been hiding out, playing small, withholding, not being vulnerable, and I'm accountable to myself, and you guys can count on me for this, and you can count on me to make a difference in this life. Before I die, I want to be thoroughly used up. I want the community to benefit from my existence. So, that's what's so with me. I love you all madly. Be vulnerable in life. Oh, another thing, if you're ever uncomfortable, anxious, nervous, something doesn't feel right because you're up to big things and you're making a stand and you got all these weird body sensations, guess what? That's right where you need to be. You're alive. You know you're alive. And it's better than being dull and dead. So, mwah, I love you all. Let me know what you think of this video.